Arsenal have been severely underperforming. And as Mead's favourite person would say, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. On the 15th of October, Arsenal made the long-awaited announcement that they parted ways with their manager Jonas Eidevall. I don't think anyone was shocked by this news. I think most people, me included, were surprised it took them that long to sack him or to part ways with him. Almost all of the responses to the sacking was positive, which shows how bad he was doing, especially this season. With most Arsenal fans want him gone for one reason or another. And in all honesty, guys, this was the happiest I've seen Arsenal fans in a while. No offense to the Continental Cup, but they were incredibly happy. It isn't a secret that most Arsenal fans wanted this man gone. It did cause controversy though when graffiti appeared on a wall near the Emirates saying Jonas out. Fans had lost faith not only in the manager but also in the club and the players, and a huge change was needed. Arsenal wanted to become the club they once were. So what did they do? It is typical for a club to promote their assistant manager to interim manager for a period of time after they sacked their head coach, especially in the middle of the season. So it wasn't necessarily surprising that their then assistant coach, Renée Slegers, became the head coach. This gives time for the club to find the right manager, especially in this climate where there aren't many managers available. Most of them are in a stable position. Not many would be willing to leave their club, especially this was like October. Not many managers are willing to leave their club, so it gives the club a lot more time. And also considering, she was the assistant manager, she knows the club, she knows the players, it's not necessarily that big of a gamble. And worst comes to worst, she does horrifically, you can just say, well, that's the assistant manager. Really, there's no really big shame on the club if the assistant manager doesn't do that well, because they can just be like, look, we're just trying to find the head coach and it's hard out there. So it's not really that big of a gamble. I'll be honest, I didn't expect Renée to hit the ground running. In fact, I thought it was going to be the opposite. I had doubt in her abilities and the style, and also considering most interim managers, they don't last a while. They do not last long just because they aren't ready for it. They are an assistant manager for a reason. It takes a while to become head coach. So I doubted her abilities. I was proved wrong. I think most people were actually. I don't even think the biggest of all Arsenal fans thought that she was going to be as good as she is. Now, as of recording this, currently, Arsenal have played 11 games. They have won 10 and drawn 1. That is incredible for an interim manager, for the fact that they haven't got any new players as of currently, as of me recording this. They didn't get any new players. Nothing huge changed. They have not lost once, and they've drawn once. And it's not like necessarily they've just had easy games. They've beaten teams such as Brighton, Juventus twice, Aston Villa, Bayern in the Champions League, and Liverpool. We don't care about the Liverpool result though. That's completely and utterly irrelevant. But she has been incredible to say the least. Not much in regards to tactics has actually changed with Arsenal. As I mentioned before, Renée was Jonas's assistant manager, so they have the same similar tactics, similar playing styles. In fact, they are similar in many ways. If I were to do a Venn diagram for the weaknesses of these two, with Jonas on one side and Renée on the other, we would have a lot of overlapping thoughts. They both barely rotate their young players, with neither of them giving minutes to these young talent that is on Arsenal's bench. But Regardless of these similarities, the players are playing so much better underneath Renée. Arsenal still playing the 4-2-3-1 formation, the same formation, by the way, that they played when they had their horrific run under Jonas, drawing to Everton and losing to Chelsea and Bayern. But they are playing with so much more freedom, and the players actually look like they want to be there and they want to perform. I think the biggest example of this is Alessia Russo. Before Renée, Russo had 1 goal and 1 assist in 9 games, which I don't need to tell you, for the main forward is horrendous. It is not good. Compared to with Renée in charge, she has 9 goals and 1 assist in 10 games. That is an insane difference. That is a phenomenal difference, considering this happened in the middle of the season. They haven't bought any new players. It's not like they've got this shiny new winger. They haven't got Graham Hansen on the wing that they just bought in, and then all of a sudden Russo can score 1,000,000 goals. There has been minimal change, and she is performing amazing. One of the change of tactics that I noticed from Jonas to Renée is the way that they play the ball into Russo. The typical move for Arsenal with Jonas is they don't want to play the ball into Russo's feet for some reason. Arsenal would decide to play it out to the wing, and then someone, either the fullbacks or the wingers, would cross the ball in and then hope that someone was in there. I think we watched that happen 1,000,000 times under Jonas, especially that Everton game where it was just, you could have played it through the middle, but they decided to play it out on the wing and then cross the ball in, which is fine if you have an aerial attack in there. But Russo, she is not an aerial attack. Her best trait is with her feet, okay? It is not in the air. I will give you guys some stats to back this up. The most aerial duels Russo has won this season in the WSL in a game is 3. And that is an outlier. In a typical 90-minute game in the WSL, she wins on average 2 aerial duels. You compare that to other WSL forwards and you will understand that it's not necessarily the best. Sure, her most aerial duels won this season is 7, and then I have to talk about Liverpool here. Liverpool's Sophie Roman-Hag has 15. That is the most she has. So when you compare that to Russo, you understand that the ball in the air is nowhere near her best asset, and in fact she really doesn't want to be trying to challenge for the ball in the air. She would rather have the ball at her feet. Now the midfield have stopped just playing the ball out wide. Now it's not necessarily like they have stopped just playing the ball out wide completely. That is not the case. That's not what I'm saying. But when it was under Jonas, it felt like that was what they were doing every single time. They refused to sort of switch it up and just play through the middle. You might as well just play it through the middle, especially when you have players like Caldente who love that type of game, who love it when defenders get close to her, when other midfielders get close to her, and she will just turn off them. She loves it. And they just refuse to play down the middle, and I assume that was due to Jonas's tactics, because obviously you look at Arsenal now and they are more than willing to play through the middle. They still do play out wide when necessary, but it is not every single attack. They play through the ball, they play through Russo, they play through Marnham. Everyone gets linked up. It is insane how one small tactic can completely change how your team plays, just by giving the midfielders and the forwards the freedom to do what they're best at, playing through the middle, and instead of just forcing them to go out wide and cross the ball in and pray that someone is in there, has completely just changed Arsenal around. Now I could talk for hours about the forwards, but I think most people already do that. I wanna give some respect to the defence. Arsenal's biggest weakness last season and the start of this season was their defence. It was lacklustre in many ways, and it felt like it needed a revamp over the summer. That never happened. They never got anyone new, with Arsenal not buying a single defender in the summer and seemingly putting their trust in the defence that was inadequate just a couple months before. I didn't expect Arsenal to be flourishing, especially in the defensive department, as expected. Arsenal were having the same defensive issues as last season. Nothing really changed over the summer, and with Jonas in charge, several of the defenders looked tired and they didn't look the best. I mean, you compare Leah Williamson to the start of this season to where she is now. It's like it's a completely different person. The start of it, especially even when she went into England camps, she looked atrocious going into England camps before with Jonas in charge. Now after, all of a sudden she's got her confidence back, and it was just very easy to cut the defence open in many instances. All you had to do was one switch of play, and then every single Arsenal player was cut out. They were sort of jogging back. Arsenal's left-hand side defensively was diabolical. At the start of the season, most of their goals came from their left-hand side. And when I say left-hand side, I mean Arsenal's left. I mean, I guess the opposition's attackers right, but when I say left-back, the McCabe side, basically. Long story short, guys, the McCabe side, the Arsenal's technical left. Arsenal's defensive weaknesses with Jonas was the defenders not engaging with the ball when the opposition would attack, which gives so many attackers so much time and space to just switch the play, catching out every single defender. Now, granted, in most instances, this didn't really have that much of an effect because you had teams who didn't finish off their chances, or you had Van Domselaar who would make a really, really good save. But when you come across these teams with such talented attacks, like the Bayerns, like the Chelseas, like the Cities, that's when you will be leaking the goals. I mean, they leaked 5 goals to Bayern. 5 goals, and most of them could have been avoided had the defenders have been switched on a little bit, had they have pressed, had they have not left so much space on their left-hand side. So how did Arsenal go from a defence that could be cut open with one pass to one of the best defences in the country? Well, it's actually a lot more simple than most would assume. If we take a look at the lineups that Jonas would put out in the games where the defence wasn't working, he would play a defensive back four. McCabe, Codina, Wubben-Moy and Fox. Now, due to injuries at the start of the season, Williamson wouldn't start this game, but I think it's safe to assume that Jonas would have started Williamson if he could, like in the Chelsea game, where the defence was McCabe, Williamson, Wubben-Moy and Fox. So we are going to assume that. And after inheriting the squad and these problems, Renée only made one real change in the defence, and that was play Steph Catley as a centre-back. This one change completely transformed Arsenal's defence. Now, Catley is on the same side as McCabe, the left-hand side, the same side that previously leaked so many goals. And now, if you look at Arsenal, those goals aren't being leaked. They are not being leaked, and it looks so much more secure. And they're not, conceding any silly goals. They are still conceding. Don't get me wrong, it isn't perfect. I am not sitting there going, Arsenal's defence is the best in the world. No. It can still be changed, it can still be made better, like most defences. But the way, just one simple change of just putting Steph Catley as a centre-back has completely changed the way Arsenal perform. Catley and Williamson's partnership in the centre has allowed for the fullbacks to push up higher. That's what McCabe and Fox like to do. They like to push up higher. But back then, when they used to do it, it used to leave out so much space because the centre-backs weren't communicating with the fullbacks. Now we have that open set of communication. It allows for the fullbacks to go up higher. The centre-backs stay back without any risk of being caught on the break. I think one of the most infamous goals of this is in the Champions League qualifiers where they faced Häcken in the first leg, and they completely got caught out on the break. Completely. The centre-backs didn't know what to do. McCabe was completely out of position, as she normally is, because she's going forward. That's just what she likes to do. And it's just one pass. One pass completely took out the whole Arsenal defence. You don't see that done anymore. You don't see that done. It's harder to exploit that now, and it makes it harder for teams to score. But we are now seeing changes in Arsenal from just very small tactics. Now, granted, are Arsenal perfect? No, of course not. Do I think they'll win the title? No. Do I think they'll win the Champions League? No. Will they win maybe the FA Cup or the County Cup? Maybe. I don't think they will reach the level of the title. I don't think so, especially this season when you have Chelsea, who are so good. But that's not the point. No Arsenal fan is sat there going, we're going to win the league now. No, because there are still many changes they need to make. There are still many weaknesses in their system, still many weaknesses in their players. But if you have a manager that has turned that team around in such a short space of time, who has used those players that Jonas failed to use, I think you've got the key to something great. I genuinely do. And it takes a lot for me to say that, because obviously I despise Arsenal. Guys, by the way, not an Arsenal fan, despise them, hate them. But you have the key to something. And if you allow her to spend time with this team, you give her a certain amount of money to spend in the transfer market, you get big players, especially January, halfway done. They need some new players to, especially in that attack. You get another winger, stuff gets turned around. Now obviously that's another conversation about Claire Wheaty. Would I call Claire Weetabix? That's another conversation about her. She's not the best sporting director again. That would probably go into the Jonas video if you guys want that. But I just think you have found yourself such a good manager out of nowhere. And it's kind of funny when you think about it that she has just become arguably an incredible manager overnight. Overnight she was assistant manager. Now all of a sudden she's become one of the best managers in the country. And it's so funny, and that if Arsenal don't use it, someone's going to steal her. By the way, if Arsenal do not, quickly snap her up, someone's going to steal her. You look at all the clubs in England who would be more than willing to take her. Most clubs in England will probably be more than willing to take her. Renée, if you want to come to Liverpool, do you know what I mean? Renée, if you want to come to Liverpool, I'd be fine with that. I wouldn't be upset. So I just think they have the keys to something amazing. I am interested to see what they do next. I am so intrigued. And I'm so intrigued to see if she changes anything after the winter break. They next play next week, because obviously the FA Cup's been cancelled. But I am so intrigued. And that Arsenal, you have something good. For once in your life, you have something good. And if you fail that by not tying her down, you will regret it. And that is the end of my video. Thank you for anyone who stayed this long. I don't know how many of you guys are going to listen to me rant about this, but this was very fun to make. This is my comeback to making YouTube videos. I made them and then I stopped because I just couldn't be bothered. I think I put too much pressure on just making them, but now I'm ready. I was very happy with writing this video because I actually wrote it and I was very happy with it and I enjoyed the process of it. So if you guys like to see more, just tell me what you'd like to see. If anyone stayed this long, thank you. It does mean a lot that you guys care about this little idiot Liverpool fan who just speaks about shit. It does actually make me happy. Thank you for that. I don't want to be the awkward YouTuber who goes like, subscribe. I don't care, but just tell me if you guys want anything. Tell me specifically. It doesn't matter team as well, guys. I'm not just doing videos on Arsenal, by the way. That is not the case. If you guys want me to talk about a team, you want me to talk about a situation, just tell me. Just tell me and I can do that, okay? I'm yours to you guys. If you guys tell me to do something, I'll probably do it. Because anyway, thank you for watching. If you don't know me from TikTok, then I don't know, Pull the Chicken 13, same name as YouTube, same name now. Anyway, thank you for watching. It is much appreciated. Thank you. Goodbye.